In the Yemei HaRachman B'Harutzen, where the Pusik says, Dirshias Hashem B'Himotzoi, where the Rabbi Shalom is close to us to accept our tefillas. When we daven, we say, Unu Tuvoi Lufonecho Tfileseini. And we beg the Rabbi Shalom, please accept our tefillas. And the question is, why do we have to have that special tefillah? And what does it take for the Rabbi Shalom to accept our tefillas? The Rambam in Hilchas Tshuva writes that Gedoyle Tshuva Shemekareves Esu'udam L'Shchina. Tshuva is great because it brings the person close to the Shchina. And the Rambam says, what's the difference before a person does tshuva to after he did tshuva? He tells us that Kama ma'ula malas hatshuva. Look how great tshuva is. Emesh, yesterday, hoyazeh muvdul me'ashem elikai Yisrael. This person was separated from the Rabbi Shalom. And what happens when a person is separated? Tzoyek, he davens to the Rabbi Shalom. The Rabbi Shalom doesn't listen. Shanemagam ki tar betfila, even when you'll add and daven a lot. The Rabbi Shalom says, Sosim tfilasi. The Rabbi Shalom doesn't accept our tefillas. The Rambam says, however, after a person does tshuva, he's zoicha to the madrega tzoyek v'nena miyat. He davens, and he's answered immediately. Shenema v'hoya terem yikri v'ani ena. Before you call, the Rabbi Shalom says, I answer your tefillas. It's just important in this time of the year to reflect. We speak about after a person does tshuva, the Rabbi Shalom accepts his tefillas. And what else does it take for the Rabbi Shalom to listen to our tefillas? There's a beautiful Medrash Rabbi in Parshas Veschanan. The Medrash shares with us that Menashe did the worst acts towards the Rabbi Shalom imaginable. Menashe went, he took it to Salem, and he put it into the Heichel. He wanted Khal Yisrael, when they come to the Rabbi Shalom, rather than serving the Rabbi Shalom on the Beis Hamikdash, should be Oved Avodah Zorah. And the Rabbi Shalom said to Menashe, because of the acts, the terrible averos you committed, I will give you over in the hands of your enemies. They will capture you. And the Melech Ashir came and captured him, and they took him and they put him in chains, and they put him in a copper box. That's what the pasuk tells us in Divrei Hayamim. And they lit the box from beneath with a fire, and Menashe was being burnt at the stake. The Medrash tells us at that moment Menashe started to daven. And first he davened to all the Avodah Zarahs in the world, and they, of course, didn't respond to him. Thereafter, Menashe started to daven to the Rabbi Shalom. And he said to the Rabbi Shalom, if you don't answer my tefillas, I will say that there's no difference between you and Chas v'Shalom, all of the other Avodah Zarahs. The Medrash says that the Rabbi Shalom at that point said to Menashe, truthfully, I should not answer you because of the terrible averos that you've done. However, since I don't want to be noyel delos b'fnei hashavim, I want that people should have the ability to do tshuva, and people shouldn't say that Menashe did tshuva and then I didn't accept his tefillas. Therefore, I'm going to accept your tefillah. And there's a beautiful medrash how Menashe was davening to the Rabbi Shalom, and the malachim in Shemayim, the medrash says, were being soisim v'chaloinis. They were closing the windows in Shemayim not to let Menashe's tefillas through to the Rabbi Shalom. On Morid the medrash says, Ma osva kadosh baruch hu. What did the Rabbi Shalom do? Chosa es harikia mitachas kisei hakovet v'kibel es tfilosoi v'yeshiveu Yerushalayim l'malchusoi. The Rabbi Shalom was choiter chatira. The Rabbi Shalom went and dug a special channel that Menashe's tefillas should be accepted by the Rabbi Shalom even after all of these chatoim were done. What a beautiful message for us in this time of the year when through a person's tshuva, the Rambam tells us, and the person's tefillas regardless what a person has done, the Rabbi Shalom will be choyte chatira to accept his tefillas. And it's important for us to reflect. Reb Chaim Volozhin writes in Sefer Nefesh HaChaim that every individual is a microcosm. He's an olam katan. He's a small picture of what the Beis Hamikdash is all about. And Reb Chaim Volozhin says our hearts is like the Kodesh HaKadoshim, HaMispalel Tzorech Sheyichaben Liboy Mil Kodshe HaKadoshim. And he writes very strong words that if Chas v'Shalom a person brings minas, apikursis into his heart, so then unfortunately he brought Itzelem into the Heichel. If Chas v'Shalom a person brings bad thoughts into his mind, he says he's like Titus Harasha, who brought disgusting things into the Beis Hamikdash. But at the same time, when a person approaches Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and he wants to do tshuva, the way to do tshuva is by taking our hearts, putting our hearts back into our Beis Hamikdash, which is our Bata Midrashim, taking our hearts and purifying our hearts to give us a beautiful Kodshe Kodeshim. And when we do that, we're Zoicha that the Rabbeinu Shloim, regardless what we've done, is Choyter Chatira, and he digs a special hole and a special channel to accept every one of our tefillas that we daven that should be accepted by the Rabbeinu Shloim. But I just wanted to add one very important thought when we think about coming back to the Rabbeinu Shloim, back to the Beis Hamikdash, back to the Kodshe Kodeshim. If we want that our tefillas should be accepted by the Rabbeinu Shloim, we need to know one thing. The Gemara says in Masechtas Brachos, Hishtachavi Lashem Bahadras Kodesh. And Chazal say that the word Hadras is from the word Chadras, from fear. And the Bnei Yeshua says that when a person gets to the point where he realizes that he's mispalul mul kodshe kodeshim, he needs to feel the Chadras Kodesh, the fear ki'ili he's walking into the kodshe kodeshim. And if we approach our tefillas in this oifen with the recognition that when we walk into a Beis HaMedrash, we are walking into the most heilige place that we have today. When we go and we take our hearts to daven to the Rabbeinu Shloim, we need to prepare ourselves by connecting to the most kedushadige place that we have today. That is the oifen that the Rabbeinu Shloim is choyter chatira, because that is the true tshuva that a person needs to do. I'll just add, there is a beautiful thought which is written in a Yerushalmi. We all know that the Tzedokim had a disagreement with the Chachamim of how to bring the Ketores when it came to Yom HaKippurim. And there was a famous story which is brought in Masechtas Yuma, where the Kohen Gadol, who was a Tzedoki, they used to make him swear that he wasn't a Tzedoki, he went in and he did the Ketores in the way and the style that the Tzedokim did. And the Gemara Masechtas Yuma tells us that a Malach came and hit him on his back, and he died. Then he walked out of the Kodshe Kodeshim with a stamp of a kaf regel of a Malach on his back. And the Yerushalmi asked the Mordige Kasha. The Yerushalmi says, how is it possible that a Malach was in the Kodshe Kodeshim? We know that the pasuk tells us, "V'chol Adam lo yeh v'voyay el oil mayid." So if that's the case, and Chazal dash, and even a Malach doesn't enter when the Kohen Gadol enters into the Kodshe Kodeshim. And the Yerushalmi says, "Amar the Geteretz, B'med dvarim amurim." When does a Malach not enter into the Kodshe Kodeshim on Yom HaKippurim? When the Kodshe Kodeshim is treated like it's Kodesh. But when a Tzedoki walks in and he starts to treat the Beis HaMikdash not the way the Beis HaMikdash should be treated, then the Malachim enter and they say, you're here, you think you have a private audience with the Rabbeinu Shalom, which even a Malach can't disturb? Sorry. If that's the way you behave in the Beis HaMikdash, if that's the way you behave when it comes to your Kodshe Kodeshim, the Malach interferes and says your tefillas can't go through to the Rabbeinu Shalom. But if we, on the other hand, recognize that our Beis HaMedrash and our Beis HaKnesses is our Kodshei Kodeshim, and when we want to connect to the Rabbeinu Shloim, we connect to the Rabbeinu Shloim by doing everything in the Oifen HaMa'ula, the way we're supposed to treat the Kedushas Beis HaMedrash and Beis HaKnesses, where our hearts become a true Kodshei Kodeshim and our shuls are like a true Kodshei Kodeshim, then we're Zoicha to this beautiful Maila where the Rabbeinu Shloim says to all the Malachim, it's okay. I am Choyte Chatira. I come directly down to Klal Yisrael through their tefillas and their tshuva. I accept their tefillas without any interference whatsoever. Halavai, the Rabbeinu Shalom should bench all of us for this new year, Be'ez Hashem, with a ksiv v'chsim etayva, a gitke ben shiur, a year that the Rabbeinu Shalom should help everybody with everything that they need. V'yamalei Hashem kol v'shalas libchem l'tayva.